Imagine not being Leeds, not feeling this pain, not dancing through thunder, not walking through rain. Imagine not rising with fists in the air when the world turned its back and no one would care. We've lived in the ashes, we've drowned in defeat, but still we stand proud on our battered old feet. Imagine not loving with all that you are. Imagine not being Leeds.
We love you, Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.
We do love you, Leeds, Leeds, Leeds. Now then, folks, how is everybody? Still reeling after yesterday, I know I am. Just going for a bit of a walk. I wanted to touch on a few little bits from yesterday. From yesterday's brilliant, fantastic, amazing, much needed win at Molineux, 3-1. Thought the boys were exceptional. Fark came for a bit of flack. As you know, I got a little bit on my channel too. Not too drastic in my opinion, just speaking a few truth words of where things could lead if we don't get us act together. It's pretty sharpish. If that game had gone another way and blah blah blah, next few fixtures are tough, and you could see that potentially coming to fruition. Get to Molineux, same team I expected. Abramson went right, didn't mind it, didn't like it at Fulham, didn't mind it at all against Wolves yesterday. With James and Nonto out, I don't know what more Fark could have done. I tell you what, Brendan Abramson I thought were brilliant. Different perspective being at the game, watching it on TV. Spoke to a lot of friends. I'm in a few group chats, obviously. A few people said Abramson were poor giving the ball away. Okafor, poor first half giving the ball away. Got a bit of stick did Okafor. Probably got more stick from certain sections of fan base in the stadium. I'd like to sort of touch on that. Because what I'll say is, Okafor, first half did get ball away a lot, and a couple of Wolverhampton's sort of breakaway chances happened from Okafor losing the ball high up, and I don't want to shoot him down for that, because this is something that has annoyed me with Farker in the past. You know, we talk about him. You know, I've spoken about quite a lot where I feel like he prefers risk-averse football. I think we all agree with that. Risk-taking on the ball, I think, isn't something he really promotes in the side. Obviously, he knows when he score goals, you've got to let your creative players have some freedom. Obviously, I'm not saying he stifles all of them and anything like that, but at times he has done in the past. And I think Okafor, when you look at Brendan Abramson being a defensive winger, Okafor needs to be allowed that freedom to express himself. And I said that going into this game, it'll be the same team as it was against Fulham, as it proved to be. But I want the message to be different. I want the message to be, when you've got the ball and you're in dangerous areas and you've got an opportunity to attack, let's have a pop at them. Let's go and have a go at them. And I feel Farker did that. And I feel like Farker got his tactics bang on. I feel like we dominated the game for, I'd say, 2/3 of it. Wolves were obviously going to have a section of the ball. They had more chances, but they never felt like they were in the game for me. Wolves, even at 1-0 up, I never felt like Wolves were actually in the game, which sounds bizarre, I know, but just a feeling I had. I was nervous before the game. First couple of minutes settled me down when we go 1-0 down. Weren't massively phased. And yeah, I thought Okafor first half were constantly trying. He didn't hide. He was so brave on ball. You could see what he was trying to do. He was cutting inside. He was beating a man on the outside, but not quite doing it. It just weren't quite coming off for him. But I didn't mind it because he didn't stop trying. He did not stop trying. And then, you know, that third goal, obviously he gets it. Poor pass by centre half, played into Stach, and Stach plays him in. It's a great finish with his left foot across the keeper. And I think that'll keep doing world of good. But I just like how he didn't hide. And Abramson on that right hand side, we all know he isn't the most attack-minded winger. That's not sort of his game, although in my head it should be. He's a lot more about pressing and off the ball and high energy. But I thought on the ball they were good yesterday. Again, give the ball away at times, but you're going to do when you're an attacking player, trying to make things happen. If you're a Gruev, you know, an Ampadu, a Longstaff, a steady player in that midfield, you know, sideway passes, going back now and again, you know, 5-yard, 6-yard passes to your centre midfield partner, you sort of, your percentages are going to be decent. They're going to be high up. They're going to be 85, 95% completion rate, because that's what sort of happens in those positions. Even when you're centre half, you do something similar, unless you go long, which we never used to sort of do, but we started doing now, which I quite like as well. But you've got those key positions up top end of pitch where you need people to take risks to try and create something. And again, Brendan Aronson, his numbers maybe, passing wise, trying to force that pass up to DCL, losing the ball high up a bit like Okafor for Stach. Yeah, it happened, but I ain't going to beat him for that because he was trying to make something happen. And I thought Brendan Aronson in an attacking capacity yesterday was as good as I've seen him. You may disagree with that, and that's fine. He's not everyone's cup of tea, and I'll be honest, he's not mine. But I've got to have balance, and I can say he's not my ideal, and I would rather have a non to one of James. But I thought yesterday he played brilliant. I didn't feel like we had a lack of threat on that right hand side. Whether you thought he played well or not, it's up to you. But I didn't feel like we had a lack of threat. I didn't feel like we just had a defensive wing. I felt like every time he got the ball, he were making good runs. He were driving forward towards his full back, and he were cutting inside. He were winning free kicks. He does everything that he would normally do. But I just think he looked a little bit more like he had a bit more freedom to roam yesterday. I quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed his performance, I'm not going to lie. He was up there as one of my man at matches, and the last 5 minutes when he got a standing ovation from us lot and gets subbed off, he was absolutely spent. It's probably the hardest he's worked. I thought he was up and down. Absolutely crazy, the amount of distance he covered yesterday. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to Brendan and Farker as well, because I thought Farker got his tactics right. Only downside really has been the injury to Bogle, so I'm hoping we get some news on that in the coming days. James Justin though is a decent backup option for him, as we've said. James Justin for 7 rising to 10 million quid. If he gets no minutes, looks a bad investment. Moments like this, he looks a fantastic investment and a fantastic player to bring in if you're going to have Bogle out for a number of games, because I don't think there'll be a drop off, but I don't think it'll be a huge drop off, because I'm a massive fan of Justin, so we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to touch too much on the game as such. What I really want to talk about is the goalkeeper. Really want to get into goalkeeper. I want to just give Aronson his flowers there a little bit, because I really rated his performance yesterday, and Okafor's, because again, even though we've won, there is negatives. I can be fairly negative and highlight the negatives when we lose, but when we win, I'll always look for those positives, because for me, there's no negatives about the injury yesterday. We're 11th now, I think, in a great spot. But yeah, Stach brilliant, the midfield brilliant, Longstaff brilliant. Gudmundson's probably my favourite player currently. I think he's outstanding. But yeah, anyway, back to the goalkeeper. So, as number 1's Perri, number 2 goalkeeper Darlow, Melies now's back in the phrase, third choice. I don't think you can drop a player that's playing as well as I think he is right now, Darlow is right now. I think you've got to reward players for playing well, and I think when you look at Perri, he's looked a little bit shaky. No massively too drastic really. Perri, he's looked very shaky at ball at feet though. Obviously against Arsenal, a lot of shots on target, they all went in. Again, would Darlow have done better? Probably not. But what I'll say is, bar the Sheffield Wednesday moment, the Darlow had it cup, which everyone will pour that game. Darlow's looked unreal these last 2 games. We've had a period of time where, under Melies, for a long time, the first shot on goal's gone in. The second shot on goal's gone in. I feel like every single shot that's on target almost feels like it's a goal. Every time there's a wave after a wave of attack from the opponent, you worry. Under Darlow, you're not getting that feeling. You feel like he can pull out a worldie. You feel like he's not going to make a gaff. You feel like he's not going to make a horrific moment either. A laughable Melies moment would be, used to seeing. You feel very composed. You feel quite calm with Darlow in there. And I think the players do. I think you can see that. I think obviously the Welsh connection is definitely a thing. You can see with Rodon and Purdue. Obviously that cohesion, that synergy, he's playing with his mates at the end of the day, that will have a factor. But I just think he's an outstanding goalkeeper, Experience, yeah, he's got that in abundance. He's played a lot of games in Premier League too. I just think as an actual goalkeeper, he's potentially a better shot stopper than Perri as well, which I didn't think I'd be saying at this stage of season. But when you actually look at his performances against Fulham and obviously yesterday at Wolves, there's a couple of worldies in there, couple of absolute worldies. The one he tipped over bar yesterday, which I think maybe a foul anyways. It coming from wide. I think we got a free kick in end, but what a save that, what a tip over bar. His agility, so good. His reflexes, so good, and he's just dead calm. He's coming out when he punches well clear. He can come out and catch. for me, Darlow were quite possibly man of match back-to-back games, really, you could argue, to a degree. Although I wouldn't give him man of match yesterday based on, you know, the outfield players and how many we scored, but I think there's an argument for the last 2 games in being right up there in maybe top 3 or 4 players we've had in back-to-back games. And it's something I love to see. It's a position that we've struggled with massively for so long now, and it's a bit of a shock that Darlow's sort of on the lips of most Leeds fans now as a positive, as a potential starting goalkeeper going forward. Did not expect that at all, you know. Sometimes when you get an injury to a player, it can derail the season, it can really fudge things up for you as a club. Darlow coming in, some people would have been worried about that. I weren't too concerned for a couple of games, but I think we'll see him for a lot more than 2 games. You know, without a Carabao Cup, you've got FA Cup to come. I would have expected, bar injuries, that'd be all you'd see this season of Darlow. The injuries give him a chance to come in, and I think he's grabbed his opportunity at both hands. He's had a lot to do as well in both games. It's not been games where he's had nothing to do. He's had a hell of a lot to do. We saw Melier last season get quite a lot of clean sheets, and a lot of them, to be fair, or unfair to him, I think were a lot more about the outfield players and the team and the defence and how we kept the ball, even though he gets a lot of the plaudits for keeping a clean sheet. You know, he hasn't kept a clean sheet in these 2, Darlow. He's conceded a goal in each game, but I tell you what, he's been absolutely phenomenal. And for me, I would keep Darlow in there for Bournemouth, and I would say now it's his shirt until he does something to lose it. And that may be harsh on Perri, because he hasn't done much wrong, but he's just not looked as settled as Darlow. He just hasn't, it's a fact. And I feel like you can't change a winning team, so I would also keep Brendan in, regardless of who's back. And that's a wild take from me. I genuinely would. I wouldn't change a winning team, bar Bogle, obviously, unless he's fit, which I just can't see after I went down. But I think when it comes to that back 4/back 5, especially, you don't change it unless you need to. There's no way Darlow needs changing for me. I cannot see any reason why you take Darlow out and put Perri in, who has looked sort of shaky. It's quite an interesting topic as well, as, you know, these new signings coming in and maybe being bench options. Because you look at Darlow, we were here last year. We've spent, is it 13, 14 million pound on Perri? It's a big investment for a player that may not be better than what we already had. Bit of a wild take, but it may not be better than Darlow. That's mad. Imagine if Leeds have spent 13, 14, 15 million quid on a goalkeeper that isn't better than Karl Darlow. That's thinking. But people come on here and say that's wild, and I'm not suggesting 100% that's accurate. Karl Darlow may stay in, he may not. Perri may come in and be a world beater that we all hope he is, let's be fair. But yeah, that's will that prove to be a poor investment come end of season? I hope not. But right now, Darlow's the saying. And then you look at the Biol situation with Stach. You know, Biol's come in, 15 million quid. One of the most exciting transfers for Leeds United in summer. Serie A, proven, really, you know, international for Slovenia. Captain material, big, strong, great on ball. Can't get past Pascal Stach. And there's an argument to say, if he ain't suspended for first game against Everton, he starts in that game and Stach don't get a minute. Currently, he's only played in Sheffield against Sheffield Wednesday. 90 minutes in Carabao Cup. No Premier League minutes yet for Biol, 5 games in. And he's been fit for all of them. Obviously, Barca suspended for the first one. So are we in a position now where if the players remain fit and, you know, keep their levels up to what they're doing at the minute, like a Darlow and a Stach, you've potentially got Biol at 15 million. Perri at 13, 14 million. You've got 28, 29 million quid sat on bench. Unless there's an injury, they're not going to get a minute. And don't get me wrong, I understand squads and I understand all that, and you need players worth X amount on bench. It's just an interesting sort of way to look at it, innit? You know, is it poor investment on a couple of players? I would argue not, by the way. Or is it classic case of you bring in better players, decent calibre players, and the players you currently have raise their levels? And if that, I would assume that's it. Darlow's got a chance. Took it with both hands. You cannot drop me with my performances. Pascal Stach 100% has done that. 100%. Pascal Stach, seen Biol come in and thought, you're not having my shirt. He's had an opportunity against Everton, that one game, to really impress. And bar Arsenal, you can't change that defence. Bar Arsenal, it's only when you could have argued a change, and it would have been very harsh to take Stach out when Rodon wasn't as good either that game. So I think Farke's rewarding meritocracy. Get it? He's rewarding people for playing well. We know he's loyal to the players. You know, he has his favourites. We know he's loyal to the players that play well week in, week out. Hence why I think Brendan will keep his shirt for Bournemouth regardless of who's fit too. But yeah, I really wanted to sort of get your opinion on the Darlow Perri situation, and obviously touch on the Biol Strout situation as well. I think while they're playing well, you can't change out. And like I said, defensively, they're both defensive players, goalkeeper, centre half. Bar Arsenal, and bar whatever the goal difference says. You know, we have got a poor goal difference, -3, one of the worst in the division. But we do look really solid at the back. We did yesterday. He had to make some saves, he had to make a few at Fulham. It's going to happen in the Premier League. But this is why we need a top draw goalkeeper. And did we think Darlow would be that? Maybe not. But boy, he's performing well. He is absolutely smashing it, is Karl Darlow. And I couldn't be more pleased for him. I could not be more pleased for him. From Championship at Hull, before coming to Leeds, probably not seeing where his career was going to go, to now playing Premier League football for Leeds and being Wales #1. It's a great last, 12 or 18 months for Darlow, and he's coming into it now, and rightly so. He deserves to stay in that team until he doesn't anymore. So yeah, fantastic game yesterday. I'm over the moon. I really am over the moon. I haven't really come down from it, to be honest. I've watched highlights quite a few times now. I might try and watch game back the full 90 as well to get a bit more of a different view on it, because obviously when you're in the stadium, 3 rows up front, quite close to pitch, it's a different view. But yeah, I thought everyone was fantastic. I really did. I thought Tanaka was great when he came on too. I would argue he couldn't take Longstaff or Stach out at a minute. And obviously Captain Ampadu is just, honestly, I think he's £30 million player now, Ampadu, in Prem. I think he's absolutely top draw. Top draw. When you think of what Phillips were doing for Leeds, might be wild, but I don't think Ampadu's far off that level. I think Ampadu's something else. The way he commits to tackles, his ball progression, plays it simple when he needs to, don't mind going long when he has to. I think he's just superb. I can't speak highly enough of Ampadu. Sort of goes under the radar because he just does what you expect him to do. No fuss, goes about his business great. But yeah, such a fantastic day yesterday. A few talking points there to sort of get your view on. But yeah, Darlow, Perri, what are we saying? Do me a favour, please like, please subscribe, and tell 10 people. Tell 10 people. Says Jack City, my mate. But yeah, take care everyone. Leeds.